The second type of price discrimination is what we call second-degree price discrimination. And this is based on the quantities of a good that the consumer will buy or consume. And a good example of this is, where you buy maybe one bulb, it will cost maybe $5, and then you buy a box of, say, 4 of the same bulb for a price of $14, and then, as in the textbook is mentioned there, then the average price of that 4 bulbs will be $3.50, which is less than buying one bulb for $5. So this is discrimination or price discrimination based on the quantities that the consumer buy. So the more quantity the consumer buy, the lower the price. And you get it, there's many examples in practice. Also in the case of utilities like water utility, or in the case of electricity utility, it's also prevalent. For example, Eskom, you get what we call block pricing. Now, so let's look at what is second-degree price discrimination. Is the practice of charging different prices per unit for different quantities of the same good or service. So the price that will be charged to you is based on how much you buy or how much you consume. And a good example of second-degree price discrimination is what we call block pricing, where a water utility or like Eskom electricity utility, price discriminates in terms of second degree, in terms of block pricing. So what is block pricing? It's a practice of charging different prices for different quantities or blocks of a good. Now that is illustrated in the diagram, which you have to be able to draw, and it's not difficult. The first thing that you start off when we look at price discrimination is where a single price is being charged, and then from that it's easier. So if you look at, you have your average cost curve here in the diagram, and then your marginal cost curve, which is a U shape, and then you have your demand curve, which is downward sloping, and your marginal revenue curve, which lies below the demand curve. Now, if a single price is being charged, then what will be the price? It will be where the MR curve intersects the MC curve, and it will be then at at the price of P0. So that is if there's a single price that is being charged. P0 is if there's a single price that will be charged. And then what happens now, different prices are being charged for different quantities or blocks of the same good. So if you look at the different prices here, is P1, if you purchase Q1, then you will have what? Price of P1. If you, for the second block, it will be P2. And for the third block, it will be P3. That will be the prices, the different prices for the different quantities or blocks of the same good. Now, if that happens, then the firm can produce more. It can expand its output, and then economies of scale can happen. And that will lead to that the average cost and the marginal cost will decline. Now, if that happens, then there's a lower cost per unit, and because of, there's a greater market now for the firm. And if that happens, costs will decline, there's a lower cost per unit, and there will be more sales. Even if there's a lower price, it will be counteracted by, there's more customers, and that will lead to more additional profits. So even if there's a lower cost per unit and maybe a lower price that will be charged, if you buy or consume a greater amount of the good, it means that the economies of scale will lead to lower average cost and lower marginal cost. That means lower cost per unit. That means lower prices, but then your market will be greater, and your sales will be greater, which will lead to additional profits that will be generated because of a second-degree price discrimination. So the key thing with second-degree price discrimination, it is based on blocks or quantities of the good, of the same good that the consumer will then consume or buy. And this is second-degree price discrimination. And also look at the textbook, the examples of the bulbs, and then also the example of the water utility or electricity utility. So yeah, this is the second degree price discrimination, and what is important is you need to highlight it, or to highlight it with practical examples and then illustrate it with the diagram. Thank you.